26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of Kino.
Zombies Pandemonium is here. On August 6, 2009, the final Zombies installment of World at War, Der was released. And similar to the prior maps, this new experience exponentially increased the fandom that the game mode had been building since Kino Der Toten. Zombies fans were eager for more, and in a way, were let down when Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare 2, releasing on November 10, 2009, did not have zombies. Don't get me wrong, this is one of the most popular and well-known Call of Duties of all time, but its third game mode, Spec Ops, just didn't create the hype that Treyarch had with its infamous third game mode. So Zombies fans held on to their hope that Treyarch's 2010 addition to the COD franchise would bring back the popular side mode, and on November 9th, 2010, their wishes came true in a way they couldn't have imagined. It had been over a year since the last Zombies map. All the fans wanted was a taste, assurance that the popular game mode would live on past World at War and not be a one-game experience, because at the time, this was a possibility. What Zombies fans did not know, however, was their first taste of Black Ops Zombies was actually in development since the days of World at War. You see, Treyarch's goal was to release this map on World at War, a concept that was eventually scrapped as its intended release date was too close to the release of Modern Warfare 2, which in Activision's mind would have been a marketing issue. So Treyarch sat on the map, polished it, and reinvented it into Black Ops 1. And the Zombies fans who were merely hoping for any kind of Zombies content to ensure the mode's survival ended up receiving the most popular map in Zombies history. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kino Der Toten. From one abandoned Group 935 facility to another, Kino Der Toten is comparable to Der in countless ways. As a matter of fact, these two maps often get lumped together when discussing classic zombies. It's a classic debate between which of these two maps is superior to the other, and of course, I will give my say on this later. Kino Der Toten's atmosphere is a familiar one, being that of an abandoned, boarded-up building. Something about Kino, however, feels more unique and authentic. I feel like World at War maps were more concerned about making their maps horror-ridden with blood and battle stains throughout. Meanwhile, Kino Der Toten takes a different approach, further emphasizing signs of abandonment and corrosion. While still feeling apocalyptic, I feel like Kino clings onto an atmosphere of being a building you could break into and see in real life. Blood and guts are replaced with tearing wallpaper and shattered windows. The vibe remains desolate and hopeless around the interior of the theater, while one can see that the sky outside is blue and sunny. I think this was a very interesting choice, as the player eventually will reach the exterior part of the map throughout their match and encounter this mood change. Kino Der Toten's spawn room, however, is as bleak as it is iconic. The player spawns in on a teleporter mainframe reminiscent of the one on Der, but in the lobby of an old-timey theater. Two staircases with a small hallway between them entice the player to explore both floors available to them upon the start of the match. Quick Revive sits behind a concessions counter, and two new guns are available on the wall, being oh shit. The M14 in Olympia War, perhaps a more ferocious battle than the apocalypse itself. Families turn on each other, friendships end entirely. You were for one, or you were for the other. There is no in between. The Olympia is a two-shot shotgun that can be pack-punched into the Hades, which doesn't only create a more powerful blast, but also lights the enemies on fire. On the other side, the M14, a far more point-friendly weapon that can be packed into the Manesia, simply upping the ammo and damage of the weapon. These two guns are in the starting room of most Black Ops 1 Zombies maps, and will become familiar friends to the player. But be warned of taking sides. Anyways, back to the spawn room. There are 4 windows for the zombies to break in here, 3 on the bottom floor and 1 on the top. These stairs are perfect for testing out one of the newest features in Zombies, dolphin diving. If you load into Kino with a friend and you don't see them do this, you may need to reconsider your friends. What a classic experience. "Beware the Six," written on the wall above the theater's entrance, is one of the more memorable details about this spawn room. It's a warning of things to come as the player advances through the map. We'll find out what it means later. The most common first door to purchase is here up the stairs. This leads to a couple smaller rooms with views of the actual theater and more signs of abandonment. A PM63 SMG is available here to purchase on the wall, which when pack-a-punched becomes the dual-wielded Tokyo and Rose. The PM63 isn't very good, but it is interesting that you can obtain dual wield once pack-a-punching the weapon. The next door leads you down into this larger area with a turret trap, the MP40, and speed cola against the wall. A lot of people instinctively grab the MP40 at this point in the game, which in turn has given it strong ties to Kino over the years. The MP40 is a safe purchase, in lieu of the risk of using the mystery box, as it gives the player a lot of points, is effective on early rounds, and is even great to upgrade, becoming the afterburner. This is also typically when the Hellhounds make their return, so having an MP40 or a gun from the box is typically better than one from the starting room or just the starting pistol itself. The room after the MP40 is the dressing room. This room is aesthetically interesting, as the designers did a great job of making an apocalyptic backstage. In here, zombies can drop from the ceilings as well as break through the windows, so this area is typically one that the player wants to spend the least amount of time in. This next door is the final one for this route to the power. Upon opening the door, the player will find themselves on the stage with a large curtain to their left. Running past this curtain leads the player to the power switch, which they pull to open the curtain and display the full aura of Kino Der Toten. Abandoned and broken theater seats, a familiar looking teleporter, large open spaces, and a huge area to observe and interpret. The switch also opens this door in the spawn room, connecting the theater section to the lobby. The theater room in Kino Der Toten may be the most iconic room in Zombies history. Most maps that are on disc, or first to their respective game, have an easier path to become well known and beloved, and Kino Der Toten takes this to the next level. Most people, Zombies fans or not, will know the theater map or the stage. Before we get any further into this area, however, let's look at the other path on how to get here. The first door for this path is rather hidden, being underneath the staircase in the spawn room. This leads the player into a smaller room with an MPL on the wall. This room is far more broken down than the rest of the map, hardly recognizable to what the function of the room was pre-apocalypse. The pipes breaking through the floorboards are the main feature of this room, whose importance will be heavily noted on later. This is the point, however, where the player can access the outdoor part of the map, known as the alley. The alley contrasts the rest of the dark and dreary map, allowing the player to step outside into what's a beautiful day, actually. This is easily the best weather the player is able to play in thus far in the series, yet is only accessible in this one small section of the map. I'm no literary major, but this is probably significant in some sort of way, perhaps some form of indication of it being more pleasant outside the theater, but I'm not gonna, I don't read books. Anyways, the AK-74U is purchasable here, as well as the familiar double tap perp machine. This is so similar to the other path, as the AK-74U takes on the same role as the MP40 in equal distance from spawn. The next room can be accessed by opening this gate. This leads into a foyer-type area that is similar to the dressing room in the fact that it's basically a buffer room between the prior room and the stage. The stage can be accessed by going down these stairs, opening the door, and of course from here the player can run to switch on the power. If the player has a keen eye, they will also notice the Holy Grail, Juggernog, in the back of the audience section. If they have a keener eye, they will see just how scuffed this seemingly innocent Juggernog location is. In order to get to Jug, the player must go through this narrow passageway. It's important to note whether there are zombies nearby before trying to get the perk, as it is extremely easy to get trapped in here and lose the 2500 point perk you just purchased. The last thing to address as far as early game and layout is the Pack-a-Punch quest, which is actually far simpler than Derice. All the player needs to do is activate the teleporter on the stage, then the mainframe in the spawn room, and interact with the teleporter again. This will teleport the player to the projection room where the Pack-a-Punch machine is waiting for them. I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the classic tossing grenades from here for no reason. I don't know who started this trend, but it stuck. And yeah, that's pretty much what there is to see on Kino. I think this map is excellent at differentiating one area from the next, yet with the exception of the alley, maintaining its bleak atmosphere. Now we move on to what the first map on Black Ops 1 has to offer as far as new features. As the curtain rises and the map awakens, so do the Nova 6 crawlers. If you watch the ceiling after pulling the power switch, you'll see the ceiling boards break and these green, gassy, Wendigo-looking creatures crawling down the wall towards you on all fours. A few of these guys will spawn in per round. Upon shooting and killing these cretins, a nasty gas will be expelled from them, which will damage and slow the player down if you run through them. If you played the BO1 campaign, you will recognize this gas as Nova 6 gas, a hugely important part to the story. It's neat how they integrated that into zombies, but let's be honest, nobody likes Nova 6 crawlers. Being a new game, Kino has the luxury of being the first map to introduce countless weapons in the mystery box, ranging from the timeless Galil to the Commando, all the way down to the M72 Law. But the mystery box and chalk drawings don't provide the only new guns on Kino Der Toten. The spawn weapon of Black Ops 1 remains the same from World at War, but its pack-punched variant becomes far better and insanely iconic, being the Mustang and Sally. Now when the player pack-punches their Colt M1911, they will receive the Mustang and Sally, which are two powerful explosive pistols. These things will remain a mainstay in the series for a while, and calling them a fan favorite is close to an understatement. People love these things. To be honest, I'm a bit indifferent due to the low ammo capacity and explosive damage risk, but used properly, I can see how these are a go-to in the community. Kino Der Toten may not have introduced a new perk, but it did introduce a new feature on an old perk, and thank God they did. On solo now, Quick Revive is available for purchase before the power is turned on and costs 500 points. And its new ability? To revive the player if they go down and give them a second chance. This completely fixes the two-hit and you're done mechanic of World at War, perhaps my largest qualm with that game. Upon going down, the player will now have a Mustang and Sally, or if they had other powerful handguns, they'll be given those, but that's beside the point, to clear out the horde that downed them, and they will be revived in about 5 seconds. The player will now need to go about rebuying perks, including Quick Revive. This luxury, however, only lasts 3 times, as after the 3rd purchase of Quick Revive, the machine will rise into the air and vanish. I think this is totally fair, and honestly, the best solo revive system zombies will ever encounter. Quick Revive has quickly risen from the bottom of the totem pole of perks and established itself almost as essential as Jug on solo. An impressive feat from Treyarch, and I'm so glad it happened. Anyways, back to the box. The last new feature is one that makes getting these new guns from the box far easier. After getting a teddy bear and moving the box once, a new drop is available for players to receive, called Fire Sale. The Fire Sale makes the box appear in all possible locations and costs 10 points for a 30-second span. This is very useful in early game, as the player has 30 seconds to shuffle through the mystery box weapons until receiving the one they desire. In future maps, certain weapons will be required to complete tasks and Easter egg steps, and the Fire Sale becomes the savior of the player. So, as nice as it is on Kino, these things will only get better. Now, let's move on to features that are unique to Kino Der Toten. I hesitate using the word unique for Kino's Wonder Weapon, as it does appear on other maps in the game and franchise, but I feel like it's few enough to call it unique to the map as well. This, of course, is the Thunder Gun, and it's crazy. Forget aiming. A shot from this gun will blast all zombies back, getting you out of corners, thinning hordes like never before. The negatives to the Thunder Gun are it being a beefy boy, making it difficult to lug around, the fact that it doesn't generate drops, and the fact that for some reason you can't reload it. Once pack-a-punched, the player will receive its upgraded variant, the Zeus Cannon, upgrading the blasts in the magazine from 2 to 4, and obviously killing zombies on a higher round. All in all, this Wonder Weapon seems fair. Its failure to generate drops entices the player to use weapons other than it throughout their match, saving the Thunder Gun for situations where it's truly necessary, as max ammos will be necessary to keep this thing from functioning in later rounds. However, as a save-me weapon, this gun is unbelievable and hard to top. That really is the most noteworthy unique Kino addition. A couple others that come to mind are the map that indicates where the box is, and a couple cool traps such as the fire trap that I alluded to earlier and will discuss later. Oh, and this turret trap on the stage. This thing's pretty cool as well. Speaking of the stage. World at War ended with the most iconic camping spot in zombies history. Black Ops 1 starts with the most iconic training spot in zombies history, the stage.
So I arrived, naked and cold. A welcome change from the abeyance of a...
No, not that stage. If you did get that reference, though, you know ball. The stage is such an easy and fun spot to group up zombies and kill. There are a few points in the train that the player needs to watch out for, such as this break in the middle of the stage and the window near these boxes. This is also why players don't typically enter the stage from the alley area, as keeping this door closed is essential to keeping the train intact. Seriously though, people can turn on you if you open this damn door.
Whoa, dude, what the hell?
No, I'm sorry, man. That's gonna feel like going around, dude.
You
Jesus.
want to go around talking about a goddamn train here, dude? How am I supposed to train if you're opening doors that aren't supposed to be
What is
open?
your problem?
My favorite way to utilize the stage, however, is by training on and off it, using the stairs and jumping over the zombies below. I kind of started doing this to give the friends I play with the ability to use the stage, but it ended up becoming my strategy even when I play on solo. In my opinion, there's less stuff to get in your way, and jumping over the zombies is very fun. So yeah, load into a game of Kino with me, and the main part of the stage is all yours. Training in the spawn room and in the alleyway are also two other viable options if someone has taken up the stage section of the map. An interesting glitch is commonly used by players for dog rounds on Kino Der Toten. When crouching right here on the stairs of the stage, dogs will hit an invisible barrier and be unable to attack the player. It's odd that the devs never took this out, and it's always fun to go back and show this to players who may not have known this growing up. The final common strategy on Kino takes place in the room with the fire trap. This strategy is typically used by players looking to go for very high rounds, as they use the MPL to generate points to repeatedly buy the fire trap, which of course provides infinite damage. This indeed was the strategy used to reach round 240, Kino's world record, set by Sluya. The MPL will be known in Black Ops for being a great point generated weapon, so having it in a room with a trap in a small space to train creates the perfect way for high rounders to continue to access the trap. But yeah, as far as an average game of Kino, you'll see that the stage will be used as frequently as the catwalk was used on Derice. Another excellent comparison between these sister maps. However, the similarities between Kino and Derice will also lead to negative connotations about Kino that we will get into now. Typically, I start this section with the positives and end with the negatives, but today I'm going to switch that around. People's largest complaint about Kino Der Toten is that it really didn't take too many big strides from Derice. Noct introduced zombies. Verrückt introduced power and perks. Shinonuma introduced dogs and ultimas. Derice introduced pack-a-punch and Easter eggs. Kino introduced, I guess Nova Crawlers would be the big one, right? Maybe the fire sale? I don't know. Kino even takes a step back from Derice by not having a main quest attached to it. This is so odd, especially considering the map was in development for literally over a year. This, of course, doesn't make Kino a bad experience to go back and play, but it is a critique that I think is rather noteworthy. A couple of other negatives on Kino would certainly be that of its troublesome jug location and a far too simplistic pack-a-punch quest. As mentioned last episode, I love pack quests that make you work just the right amount, and Kino doesn't make the player work at all. This could also fall into the positive category, as its ease of use is nice for newer players, but I think newer players would be able to handle a quest similar to that of Derice. When it comes to Kino's positives beyond the stage, it all comes down to the community. Kino Der Toten is a universally known map. If you ask modern day zombie players what their first map was, I'd be willing to bet 50% or more would say Kino, including me. If Kino was trash, I'm sure a lot of players wouldn't have gotten as invested in zombies as they became, and who knows if the mode would have gone down the same wonderful path that it did. Love it or hate it, every zombies player owes gratitude to Kino for growing the community more than any other map, and that is indisputable. As the mode goes on, Easter eggs and tasks will become the main focus of zombies, while early maps like Kino focus solely on survival. Kino is certainly one of the best maps to go on and just survive, even to this day. However, being the theater map and known by virtually everyone, this easily led to Kino being the most overrated map of all time. And this is barely an opinion, closer to a fact.
The best zombies map of all time. Kino Der Toten Black Ops 1.
Kino is great, don't get me wrong, I've done my fair share of glazing it this video, but I'm sorry, it's not the best zombies map of all time. If you ask someone who is extremely casual or knows nothing about zombies, this will always be their answer. This does cause a lot of the zombies community to overlook Kino these days, as it's overplayed, overknown, and become rather stale to a lot of players. Something I love to emphasize when discussing Kino, however, is overrated does not mean bad. Kino is still an excellent map. And that is the last thing I have to say on that subject. Kino Der Toten is certainly a step down from Derice when it comes to the story implications, as this map is simply the result of the WAF sending ultimates to a random time and place. The theater itself, however, isn't just a random building. This was a nether facility, mainly run by Maxis, to perform experiments with 115 and the zombies, hence the existence of the teleporters, traps, and weapons in the building. Upon randomly teleporting here, the crew obviously was tasked with fighting off unlimited hordes of the undead. However, the canon ending is not actually seen in-game, despite the numerous rumors about how to beat Kino Der Toten back in the day. Eventually, the crew manages to find an abandoned lunar lander and escape on it. Perhaps they used that backstage ladder that the whole community thought was accessible via Easter egg back in the day. Or perhaps the Schlackinator was right and they used the van out front. A few interesting story qualities, however, can be found on this map. Firstly, we obviously have the radios that appear around the map. These radios are far less significant than Derice's, mainly just displaying average Maxis experiments with no actual plot. What's more interesting than the radios, however, are the film reels and how to obtain them. Once leaving the Pack-a-Punch room, players have a chance of being randomly teleported to one of 4 rooms. These 4 rooms are the Campaign Interrogation Room, the Pentagon Conference Room, Samantha's bedroom, and Samantha's evil bedroom. Once teleported to one of these small rooms, the player has only a few seconds to search for a film reel. Upon finding one, the player must interact with it to pick it up before teleporting away. These reels can be placed in the film projector the next time the player goes up to Pack-a-Punch, and they can hear basically another radio message. But trust me, doing it this way is way cooler than just interacting with the radio. The last thing to address in this section are the paintings of all 4 characters on the wall. When interacting with the pictures, the character the player is playing as will give a quote on how they feel about the character that was interacted with. For example,
Hey Dempsey, I think they got your bad side.
Hello, Dempsey. Ah, it's just a portrait. An ugly one!
His portrait's bigger than everyone else's. Must be trying to compensate for something.
as we can clearly tell from these quotes, Richtofen and Dempsey will not be best friends. The most interesting part about these paintings, however, was always the 5th blank one. Who could this be? Even the character quotes about it are mysterious.
This one didn't photograph so well.
Hey, look! It's nobody!
To this day, I don't believe we know who this shadowed man is, but if I had to guess, maybe Maxis, or perhaps the main antagonist of BO3. You know who I'm talking about. Either way, I think I did an excellent job of dragging the story out of a map that basically has no story. So I think it's time to move on. The first Easter egg we need to address is obviously the co-op dog dive glitch. What you need to do is lie down in this corner here, then have your friend dog dive on top of you. And the result? You know what? It's so cool. And I'm not even going to tell you. Just go check it out yourself. It's sick. I don't want to spoil the surprise. It's really cool. Just go try it. Anyway, we already have discussed the various radios hidden around the map, building up a lot of Maxis lore. And we've discussed teleporting to the random rooms to get the film reels. So let's discuss the side egg you can do if you teleport to the Pentagon conference room. Basically, there is a way to launch this rocket. I'm either showing you it now or not. I did what the guides on YouTube say to do. This is one of those cranked Easter eggs. No one really knows how to do it. They say jump in the projector room a bunch of times. Some of them say collect all the film reels. Some of them say shoot radios. Either way, there's some way to make this rocket in the Pentagon fly, and I can't tell you how to do it. Finally, we'll discuss activating one of the most iconic songs in Zombies, 115 by Kevin Sherwood and Alina Siegman. In order to do this, you must interact with 3 rocks around the map. The first one can be found here in spawn. The second one can be found in the room after the alley, and the last one can be in this corner of the dressing room. This song goes way harder than any of the other songs thus far, which is saying a lot since these zombie songs have all thrived on intensity and action. And yeah, that is all for Easter eggs in this map. Like I said, it's a little weird they didn't throw anything like the fly trap in on Kino Der Toten. But a couple maps from now, there'll be no turning back as far as Easter eggs. Kino Der Toten is the first map thus far to only have one direct remaster, occurring in Black Ops 3. This version upgrades the guns and mechanics, changes up the rocket Easter egg a little bit, if you can figure out how to do it, and throws in a max ammo Easter egg similar to the first 3 maps on World at War. This one is far more complicated than the ones we've seen thus far. To start this egg, you must knock on this blue door in the alley and wait to hear someone knock back. You must count the number of knocks you hear and remember that number. There will be a slight pause and 2 more sequences of knocks that correlate to a number. Knock back that same sequence, then rinse and repeat 2 more times. This spawns in the familiar Samantha doll near the stage. Similar to before, you must shoot 5 hidden Samantha dolls around the map. Once you shoot 5, interact with the first doll location for your max ammo. A segment of Kino also appears on the map Revelations, where its teleporter is still usable and is integral to parts of the Easter egg. In this version also, the projector room is accessible from the theater itself, which feels so weird. The Wii version of Kino also has a couple notable changes, namely being an extra radio and the AUG for purchase here by the stage. This is so interesting to me. as I love this BO1 exclusive weapon, yet is never a wall buy outside of this version of the map. The last version of Kino to address is the one that takes place in real life? Yep. The abandoned Central Park Theater in Chicago is what Kino Der Toten is based on. I actually have been to this location and peeked in the lobby, and my goodness, is it surreal. They truly nailed it. The building is infamous for people breaking in to relive their zombie heydays. I wasn't manly enough to do that, but I still find it awesome I can say I've been to this iconic establishment. So here we are. It is time to rank Kino Der Toten. This is a big moment because a lot of people, you can overhype this, you can underhype it. It's like, where am I going to put it? Where am I going to put it in relation to Der Riese? And I mean, I feel like most true zombie fans put Der Riese higher. But I'm not going to do that. I am putting Kino Der Toten right here above Der Riese. And let me quickly explain why. It's not really nostalgia. It really isn't. I mean, but I'm nostalgic for both of these experiences. Kino Der Toten does a crap job of expanding the universe for, being the first map in a game. But, I don't think that takes away from it too much. I prefer training on the stage more than I do camping on the catwalk. I prefer training in general more than I do camping in general. Der Riese is a camping map, and Kino is a training map. I think these two are very close as far as how good they are in general, objectively. I think they're very, very close. And what pushes it over the edge, like I just said for me, is the fact that I love training on and off the stage, like doing a little jump over the zombies, and I don't know, I just prefer that more. I prefer the Thunder Gun on Kino more than the WAF on World at War Der Riese, because the Thunder Gun does not take my Juggernog or health regeneration away. The reason it doesn't reach S tier is it just doesn't have as many things as future maps, similar to my reasoning for not putting Der Riese in S tier. I just don't think it has that it value. I think a lot of what makes Kino great is the nostalgia. That obviously does do some due diligence for me, but like I said, that isn't why it's above Der Riese, because Der Riese is also just as nostalgic. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what else to say. I think Kino Der Toten is a great map. It's definitely overrated by people putting it in their top 5 or top 10. Which, by the way, it won't land that high in my A tier. I think it'll be top 15, maybe around somewhere around there. But like I said, overrated does not mean bad. It is not a bad map. It's even gotten to the point where the hardcore zombies players overhate it because it's so overrated. It's a hard balance with Kino Der Toten. And I just feel like it's an A-tier map at the end of the day, and I try to ignore all the noise and just appreciate this great map for what it is. And just like that, we are underway with Black Ops 1. Next up is the other launch map for the game, 5. One of the hardest zombie maps in Zombies history. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, till next time.